Hello. Today's message is brought to you by the High Priestess. Absolutely. She brings in keys. Keys of how to handle, maybe I would say maybe even the beginning of something. We all have great aspirations. We start with the idea of something and we're all bubbly, we're all fantastically brilliant. The pentagram right here showing the star, right? Pentagram is the star. We remember doing it as kids, like you know? It was so much fun to try to get it right so that the star didn't look all wonky. This is the pentagram, right? There you go. All right. So the thing is with it is that there's a beautiful symmetry that came out with these sigil cards. By the way, this deck, this is called the Tarot deck is the Phantom Wise Tarot, and this is the Sigil Witchery Oracle. All right. I don't always say it, but these are really great decks. I like them. At the beginning of something, when we begin or we start doing something, we sometimes tie ourselves up before we even begin, right? The star, our North Star, our idea, our goal, like, oh, I'm shooting for that star, and then we start immediately putting blocks in front of it. We hit that first little sign of resistance, and suddenly we start thinking maybe this won't be as easy as I think it will be. Because when we dream in Technicolor, right? We think, oh, this is fantastic. It's going to work out. It's going to be beautiful. But then what happens is that we get stuck. We get stuck on something, and then we get stuck. If you look at it, though, they're not huge stucks. Like the bows on it, they're not great. They're cute little bows, right? They're not fantastically hard to unravel. They are just there. Simply there. You have the Strength card with the Pentagon card, and with these two together, it's like simply unraveling the shape that's hiding underneath the pentagram. Because if you look, when I saw pentagram and pentagon, I go, how close are they to each other? They are. They're very close in the way that it's said. They could be easily mistaken one for the other in the way you say it. The difference is that the pentagon hides in the pentagram. Look, if you look, you see? It's right there in the middle. See that? So all you have to do, and the Strength card is all about not forcing the issue. It's like using your inner strength to get you forward, but it's not like forcing the door lock. It's like easing the doorknob, right? It's the difference between jiggling something to make it work instead of just like throwing yourself up against the door to try to open it. That's the thing. Sometimes we overcomplicate things. Instead of just looking for the shape inside of the dream that we can start working with and shape with, we overcomplicate everything and just drop the whole thing. Okay? Because if you can't get the whole star at the beginning, just work with the internal part of it. Okay? Work with the pentagon in the pentagram. That's the simplest of messages here. Now the last one bringing in, it says the Chariot and the Square. The Square, if you see, it follows through. With the house that they kind of put in the background, if you do this, it ends up being a square. You finally shape it into something that doesn't look anything like the star anymore, but is definitely something that you want. Now, there are two different messages coming in with this one. Especially with this Chariot card that ends up being a hot air balloon. If you see the basket, it can either be a place to land, where it can become stifling, putting yourself into a box to fit into something, right? Or it can be a launch pad for something else. In other words, you can begin here, and as you see, the square is kind of lifting up. Or it could be bringing you down. There's two different messages here. You can be stuck in a box, or you can think outside the box. There's always two different ways of thinking of things. But that's the key. That's what the High Priestess wants you to know. You can go from this to the big star moment where you get a little bit, you know, get a little bit stuck with what's coming in. But then you go inside yourself knowing, I'm not going to force it, I'm just going to work with what is, and you take the shape that comes in, and then you shape it into something you want, your little box of the world. And then you have the choice of either landing into that gift, into that setting, making it truly yours, or it can be the place of your next confinement. Either or, it's usually, I mean, it just happens that way. I like the way that these are showing a blue. They're actually silver, if you look, but it's because outside the sky is blue. So look, they're silver, but the sky is blue. Look what it's reflecting. Isn't that amazing? I love that. My window is right here, so it is reflecting the sky. And that's where you're going, to the sky. Sky is the limit. The butterfly, the transformation. All of this applies, right? It's a brilliantly cute little message hidden in shapes and forms to show you how things can constantly move and become something else. Even things that are brought in to free you can end up trapping you at the beginning. But even when you free yourself, it can end up trapping you at the end too. But you always have the option to free yourself. There's this little circle that happens all the time between one moment of, I'm going to do this, to just pushing it past that moment and trapping yourself into another kind of mindset. We were talking about that in the readings this week, so if you just go back a few, you're going to see where it's like you have abundance, and then suddenly it goes into one step further. I think it's a Monday reading. One step past it into imprisonment of the soul, of the mind, of what you really want in your life. So be very aware of how you are thinking things through. You can let one little thing decide the entire future of what you're trying to build. One tiny little thing can discourage you into not doing at all, or you can build towards what you want. I would say you have either way to go here. You can take this and turn it back into your star, or you can take this and turn it into a square, because it's the easier shape to live in. There's always a choice between the two, right? You can go, I can turn this pentagon into the pentagram with all the little pointy that's going to expand, or you could box it into square. That's the key, right? I'm not saying the square isn't bad, but make it a launch pad. If you can't do this, if you can't do this, do this, but don't let it be the last point. That's the big message here. Don't let it be the last place. Launch it. Launch it again. Try it again. Keep going. You have a square. You're not left with nothing. You can build upon every shape here. The only person who decides if it's going to go further or not is you. The only person who stops the momentum is you. Simply by receiving resistance, it doesn't mean that you need to stop. It just means that you have to look at the direction you're going into now, the next step you're going to take, and where that's going to lead you. That's all that means. This is absolutely beautiful. I want to take one of these. I took it out. And look, the sun came out for you. See? The sun has come out for you. Yes, adversity. This is what this reading is all about. Adversity. It's when you meet that moment that doesn't match with what you have seen. You wanted the star, but you can't. Something happened, and it says, I accept that challenges are the best way to learn. That's it. You either use it as a learning, a pivot point to say, I'm learning and I'm moving forward, or you used it as a point to stop you. You used it as a point to go, whoa, I can't, okay, I gotta stop. Yes, you may have to pause, but challenges are the best way to learn. Learn what your capabilities are. Some people may say, well, I can't go any further. Well, is there anything else that you can do so that you can continue going further? Like that you can learn into moving forward in the way that you're doing things, right? Maybe if you take a moment and learn how to do the little star points, you know, go back to school, take a course, watch a YouTube video, whatever it is, right? Talk to somebody who knows more than you. You can then start building on those. It's the best way to learn. It's telling you that you're deficient in something or that something is missing and that you've got to try and overcome it. It's all up to you. Rarely is there something that stops you. I mean, even truly in relationships, if you're having a problem with somebody, talking it out, asking the questions is the best way to get the information that you need in order to move forward. If you're not talking to each other, you're never going to know. You're just trying to guess. So, same thing for everything. And if the person tells you, no, there's nothing you can do, well then, you know there's nothing you can do. I mean, it's all about external, but either way you end up with an answer. You end up with a sounding board or a stepping stone, I should say. A stepping stone that's going to help you get to the next point. You'll stop stagnating or giving up prematurely. This is the message here. Thank you, everybody. I will see you in the next one.